No dilly, no dally zone. Jay, come on in here. President and General Manager, Birmingham Legion, Jay Heaps. Let me move a chair. Man still has hops. Well done. Go for it. You're all good. Thumbs up. There we go. Where is it? There it is.
All right, we're going.
All right.
Live.
First off, thanks.
We got cameras too. I love this.
Yeah, this is all over the place.
All right, good.
First off, great to see you again.
Great to see you guys. Thank you guys for being back again. We love this partnership here that we're starting to create back and forth with Atlanta. We love it. So it's fun to see you guys here.
All right, so let me ask you the 30,000-foot question.
Okay.
2-1 result, obviously, and not necessarily first time out of the blocks. You're looking at win, loss, that kind of a thing. But from 30,000 feet, what'd you take away from today?
Well, I thought, we're all doing the same thing. A lot of subs, a lot of young players getting their opportunities. So for us, it was about the first 45 minutes was more of our core players that we've had over the last couple of seasons with a couple new signings out there. And then taking a look at some of the younger players that are trying to transition into our roster. So it was a good first outing. We've got a lot to improve on. It was great atmosphere. The storm came in, but you could feel the crowd energy pick back up.
Yeah.
First out of the gate, we were excited that, we were able to test ourselves against a great team like Atlanta.
Now let's talk about the support that you guys had out there, your supporter, your fans. I mean, how great was it of a turnout to see all of them show up for this preseason match and getting to kind of set the stage for the start of the season?
Yeah, it's so fun. We got some great, our supporters group they're live. Both sides, we have two sides. They're going. There's drums the whole time. You can feel their energy, and we're really excited that they're. The echo. Is that me? All right.
I'd blame me.
But you can feel that energy, and they've been waiting for to be able to play another MLS team, and they just really see our players play against them. But then we had a great turnout from some season ticket holders as well. This game is included in the season ticket package, so you could really feel like our energy from our season ticket holders as well.
I want to ask about one family that's attached to the Legion roster today in particular. When you called up Ma and Pa Trialist and said, I need to have your entire family here today to play for me. I mean, you had Trialist 2, Trialist 6, Trialist 8, Trialist 20, Trialist 25. What was that phone call like when you called Ma and Pa Trialist? And it's like, I need your entire family here. I know you're all good at the sport of soccer.
That's a good point. No, it was, and that was really Tommy, our head coach, connection. But we knew this is earlier in the preseason than we typically start. MLS just keeps getting, every time I talk to, so Garth Lagerwey and Carlos Bocanegra are good friends, and we always talk about when they're going to play. This year, Carlos was like, I think it needs to be in January. And I thought, oh, God, our roster's still in production. We don't play our opening game until mid-March. So we had to kind of rely on some trialists. But there are a few players tonight that trained all week that we didn't think would make our roster, showed well enough. We thought in the second half there's a couple players that we're going to keep around for another week that have a potential of making the roster.
You mentioned rosters. I mean, let's talk about Finn Callaway. You guys signed him yesterday. I mean, talk to me about his signing, what you guys did to get him to come here, and what you guys are expecting for him this season.
Well, Finn is really one of our true homegrown players. He actually lives a mile and a half from where my house is in the town we live in. So I've seen him grow up and play. He was actually played at the local high school that my son played at. So I've seen him grow up. He's only a junior in high school, but he's a true player that we see, growing into the game and being able to get tonight. Tonight was his first experience. He's been training with us for a couple of weeks, but he was finally signed yesterday to that academy contract. But be able to get on the field and perform well, and I'll be honest with you, he carried himself well, had some great touches, and we're excited about his development.
What was the biggest lesson from last year that you carried forward to get ready for this year?
Oh man, we have to stay healthy. We had some. We were the best and worst team all year long. We could blow a team out and play unbelievable, and then we'd have a drop off the following week. So consistency is the key, and we have a roster of players that we think are good enough to win and beat anybody, but we have to have the depth and the consistency not to drop points when we don't need to.
Follow up. Enzo Martinez at the age of 62 is doing amazing things right now.
Totally.
He's one of the true Hall of Fame pests in USL Championship.
He really is, and he's knowing him off the field. He couldn't be a nicer person, great guy, and when you see him on the field, everyone's like, oh, like we talk about one of the radio shows here at BMR. Scott Register, who runs a great show. When we signed him, he's like, I don't know if I'll ever like him because I hated him so much watching him play against you guys. 2 weeks into his time here, he's like, he's my favorite person and like, he just is that kind of person off the field. Great guy. And some of them we've had, now this is his third season with us. And you said it, he's 33, but in his mind, age is a number, right? That's all it is. He just keeps getting younger. He's Benjamin Button going the other way.
It's like Benjamin Button for soccer.
That's right.
Maddie, go for it.
Now, listen, I just have to know, where can I get one of these gold jerseys? I saw that, and I mean, I want one.
All right.
Where can I get one?
Lady Electra
I need one
kit
right
is
now.
strong.
Lady Electra. So what was great this year is we were able to transition to Hummel. Hummel's been a great partner because it's allowing us to make authentic jerseys for Birmingham. So like you said, Lady Electra, she's on the Alabama Power Building. She looks over the city of Birmingham. Golden, strong, powerful woman. So we wanted to get her on the kit. We think the gold it's our very first gold kit. So we have 3 more kits to come out over time, but we're going to really make them authentic to Birmingham.
What was the team's reaction to that kit?
They loved it. They've seen it for the last couple of weeks. We released it the other day, but what they really like is the white sleeves and the white shorts, but then the gold really stands out.
How much thought went into that idea? I mean, how much blood and sweat and tears and toil and trouble did you sit there and go, okay, I like this version. Let's tweak this. What about this? When did this thought process start?
It took longer than I probably should talk about because I personally put a lot of time and energy in it because it was the first time where we could start with a blank template and create something that we knew was going to be our very first launch. Everyone was asking us to do gold, and we just couldn't get a gold that fit from Nike. It just didn't match right, and so we were able to go to the exact color scheme that we have and make this molten gold and create a jersey out of it.
Strong.
Wow.
It was
That's
fun.
awesome.
That's cool.
Now, looking ahead into this upcoming season, what are your expectations for your squad for this new season? What do you want to see? And I mean, what can fans expect from this side?
Well, we have to. Last year, like I said, we were saying before, we have a very talented group. We're not as deep as we wanted to be last year, so we need to be deeper. Try to stay as healthy as possible, which obviously you can't control. But what I want our team to do is I want our home games. Like we let too many points get away from us at home. We could win on the road and make up for it, but we need to win more games at home. We need to be almost unbeatable at home because that's where MLS and the top leagues, when you win at home and you get your points on the road where you can, is you're a really challenging team. And then you get a home playoff game. And for us, that's what we need. We were on the road last year. We won our first playoff game away. Second playoff game was a tough environment. But if we had that game at home, there's no question in my mind we would have won. So we need to make sure we have more home wins and to allow us to have a home playoff game.
What have you learned about yourself as a front office guy since you started here in Birmingham? How have you, I guess, I don't want to just, you continue to advance in your thought processes and become more experienced. What have you learned about this whole experience from your perspective?
Well, it's always learning, right? I think, my perspective when I was a player and then you transition to a coach and there's a huge learning curve there and kind of how you see the game. And then now as a GM, when I was a coach, I couldn't watch a game from up high because it just seemed too slow. It just felt like you weren't in the action. But now sitting up higher, being able to, see what our roster needs, where we need to be able to build. But for me, it's really making sure that I have a great relationship with our coaching staff, going in and understanding what they're looking for out of the team, because we can, I can have an idea for a team, but if it's not exactly what we want to do together, then it doesn't make sense. So when we sign players, it's always a collaboration. We talk about it. How's this player going to impact us? How's it going to impact the current group of players we have? So for me, it's a very back and forth conversation. When I was a coach, I always wanted to have a GM that had been a coach. And that's what I think I bring, is that I've sat in that seat. So I have a perspective and we can work together on a collaboration.
Absolutely. And I mean, even just touching on that, you kind of touched a bit on the differences. What are some of the similarities between a head coach as well as a GM that kind of helps you in making these decisions as a GM for the club? Well,
I think one of the things I think I took away from being a coach is I understood the locker room, that really understood the cadence of a professional locker room, which is sometimes you got players that are really good players, but they may not be great locker room fits. And you're a GM, and while the kid's really talented, but the head coach keeps saying, look, there's an issue off the field. There's some chemistry problems. He might look good in one moment, but he's bringing the players down. And really trusting your coaching staff to know when a player is not just good on the field, but maybe he's not a great locker room player. So can you build off of that? Because a GM, I meet a player and we have a good conversation. I see the person out of that, but I don't know how he's interacting with his teammates. So you have to really that's what I think as a GM, I trust the coaching staff because I know that they have a much better set of data points of how many interactions they have with the player to say, hey, this kid is a good locker room fit or a bad locker room fit.
When you look at the USL Championship this season, last game of the year, Charleston, Phoenix, changes happened all around the league. Some names have shifted. Names have gone to different places. You got a new team in Rhode Island now with Michael Parkhurst and Conno Smith is a part of that up there.
They stole him from us. He was our assistant.
Uh-huh.
Parky was my roommate on the road when I played for the Revs and he played for the Revs. Parkhurst was my roommate, so I know him all too well. You want Parky stories?
Yeah, what's a good Michael Parkhurst story? Because I think next Friday at 9:30 Eastern, he's on the show.
Okay.
So what's a good Michael Parkhurst story that we can shock him with? Since he's a mogul in training up there in Rhode Island.
This is so good. All right, first one. Have you ever seen his first goal? It might have been his only goal, but his first goal as a professional, he scored from half field.
I did
at
see
Toronto.
this. Oh yeah.
And by the way, I kid you not, I run over to him because I didn't know Parky could kick a ball that far because he never kicked the ball over 10 yards. He would just pass it. I was like, Parky, I was right next to him, like, Parky, you need to kick it further up the field because you keep putting the ball, good passes to me, but I'm not as good as you. I need to clear it. But so that was the first I've ever seen him kick a ball. And when he shot it, I literally was like, no, oh, and it just went right in. But no, Parky is one of the great human beings in any sport. I actually tried when he came back in. He went to Columbus. I tried like hell to get him to go to New England. It couldn't get him there because he didn't want to play on the turf in New England. So he went to Columbus. But man, what a great guy! I love him. That's a great guy.
We're going to hold that story for Friday next time when he's on the air. A couple more minutes here with Jay Heaps, president and GM of the Birmingham Legion. Go, Maddie.
I mean, you told Parkhurst to kick it far, and he did.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean,
I never thought he was going to score from there, and I will be honest with you, I was jealous at that point because I wanted to score from half field. But good other thing about Parkhurst, no one knows, he was one of the most intelligent soccer players I'd ever seen. He would go an entire season without a yellow card. When he first got there, now I'd be suspended for games for yellow cards. And and it was because he would be in a position where he never had to step in and make a bad play. If he was kind of like Iceman in Top Gun, where he just read the game, stepped in and won the ball when he did. If he didn't have to get there, he wouldn't foul. He never got beat, and he played a whole career that way. And I think he had probably the least amount of yellow cards I've ever seen. But as a center back, that's unheard of. But it shows you how smart he was as a player.
And I mean, talking about the development, obviously when you played in MLS, and then obviously to now. What has that development been like from a player who played kind of in the early seasons, but now looking at it now ahead, and even in the NPL team as well? I mean, that development in soccer from all over.
I look at it now, and I tell this a lot because it has. MLS has gone to the stratosphere. The players they've brought in, I think some key moments were 8 years ago when Atlanta United said, hey, we're putting a team, or MLS is putting a team in Atlanta. I remember thinking, look, I actually just told the story today to Garth Lagerwey. I said, I remember being a player in Miami Fusion. Garth Lager and I were teammates in the first iterations of Miami, right? And we would go to the Atlanta Silverbacks, and there wasn't 50 people in the stadium, maybe 100 at the most. And I remember them saying, we're going to go to Atlanta, and I think I was just starting to coach at the time, and I said, oh, man, that's going to be a tough market. Sure enough, it's like lightning in a bottle. And what I think when they came in, and then you had Seattle a little bit before them, obviously, and the Portlands, but they started to go from MLS 1.0 to 2.0. Atlanta took it to the next level. And now I look at these players, and you can see how much better they're getting. And the better players coming in, it's making the younger players have to be better. And on top of that, I look at USL, and now they're getting better, right? Because we're seeing a lot of fall off, like the Enzo Martinez's, the Mikey Lopez's. Guys that would otherwise be in Major League Soccer are not there because that league's taking a step up. So it kind of goes up like this. I look at USL now and it reminds me of what MLS was in 2005 and 2006. It's not that, look, that's where USL is, where MLS is closer to the, La Liga and top leagues in the world. I like seeing them go higher because I know our talent level is going to keep falling right in behind.
When it comes to the talent pool in USL Championship right now, I think Fidel Barajas is another example of young players that get to develop in USL Championship and move to that next level. One of our viewer, listener, supporters, Dell, down in Charleston, wants to know, do you think more players should get a chance to move up from USL Championship and head toward Major League Soccer?
Sure. I think that's the pathway for a lot of players. I think you're also seeing European countries and clubs looking at USL Championship players. I know we have a young player, Matthew Corcoran, who this whole offseason he played in the U17 national team with Barajas in different countries clearly, but both of them were high on a lot of European teams' transfer markets, and so I was dealing with calls on him as a young player. So I think Major League Soccer is seeing there's talent. There's young American players coming up that maybe otherwise wouldn't have made a MLS roster or were outside a certain homegrown market, which is a great pathway. But we also have some young international players. Like today, I was in I know John Spector and I know Carlos, and they're always looking at some of our young international players that we go grab from. Our Tommy and I have great connections in Ghana, different parts in the world, that we grab one or two young players that we think we can turn into a player, and so I think that pathway is there as well. But yeah, I believe that the USL Championship is a great league for development, but it's also got real professionals in there, so that development isn't given. You have to earn your development, and I think that's the difference between those young players that are carving they're in the locker room fighting against guys that need to play to feed their family. That's a little different than MLS Next Pro, because it's much more of a, hey, you make mistakes, you learn how to play. USL Championship, there are stakes matter, and that you can see that development happening, and that's why I think we're that one step closer for those players to get into MLS.
Maddie, last question from you.
Oh goodness. I mean, geez. I wasn't ready.
On the pressure.
I wasn't ready. I mean, just overall, it's been really fun watching Birmingham Legion. I'm definitely going to follow you guys, obviously, through this next couple of for this season as well. It's been a lot of fun to watch.
You just earned yourself a gold jersey. I got to get you a gold jersey.
Listen,
she talked her way into it, didn't she? All right, Maddie, you're getting yourself one.
Just saying.
I'm going to just go over here. For
Just
the rest
text me what size.
I will. I promise. Right. After the show's done, I will. I promise. 100%.
I'm getting you one. That'll be fun. Okay. All right, what was your question? What size? No.
So, what sizes do you have? No. I mean, just looking ahead for the rest of the season, how do you want this club to grow? But how do you want to grow with the club as well as the team continues to grow on? It's
great. That is an awesome question. You saved that one for last. That was perfect. I would love to see. So, our biggest hurdle is we drew well tonight. We draw well when we're playing Major League Soccer competition. We had 18,000 when we played against Inter Miami. We had 15,000 when we played against Charlotte FC. I want to see our fans continue to come out when we're playing against Louisville or against Tampa. So for me, it's a push for Birmingham fans to not just come out when we're playing against major league teams, come out when we're playing against our rivals and teams that we need to beat to finish higher in the playoffs or in the league standings. So I want to continue to grow that. And then on top of that, I want to continue to show our fans that we're trying to get better. We're trying to be innovative in who the players we sign. We have a couple of other players that we're going to announce signings in the next week or two that we think are very innovative and can play the game at a higher level than we've been able to play it at. So I want our fans to ride that journey with us, but I want them to start really showing out and bringing more people out to the game, because it's a fun game when the bigger the crowd, the more exciting it is, and you can feel it.
And I know that Ma and Pa trialists will be happy when you call them and sit there and dial them up and go, we're taking 2 or 3 of your sons this season.
There you go. That's right.
Jay, my friend, it's always great to catch up with you. Thanks for hanging out with us. Jay Heaps, President, General Manager of the Birmingham Legion.